Welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan African Television. We are live on Facebook at Pan African Television, also live on YouTube at Pan African Television. You can join in the conversation by sending your views, comments, and contributions on 0260846539, 0260846539. You can as well leave your suggestions, questions, and whatnot on our social media pages. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. My name is Justice Apia. I've been joined in the studio by Saka Salia, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team, Gabriela Tete, also a member of the National Democratic Congress communications team, and Hajia Hamdatu, who is a member of the CPP. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'll start with you, Hajia, on the African story. Gunmen raid villages in northwest Nigeria, killed 19. Let me take you through the topics we're going to be discussing before we start with the discussion. Also, we have Ghana Medical Association advises government to close schools and drinking sports. The Inside newspaper, story on page 3. MPP in a silent war over Akufo-Addo's successor, the new crusading guide, story on page 10. If you go on social media, you will see people posting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, others are posting Alan Cash, and it is resulting in fights between supporters of the New Patriotic Party. This is a known fact, and I don't think anybody can't dispute that. Jen Mensah runs from Chachu after Radio Metronono expresses irregularities. National Enquirer, story on page 4 and 6. But I'll start with you, Hajia, on the African story. Gunmen raid villages in northwest Nigeria, kill 19.
Good morning, Justice, and then good morning to Gabriela and then Saka. Today, Saka was very early. That was good.
Yes, so.
And then good morning to our cherished viewers out there. I have a special friend in Wija. He's the chief there. Not the chief, traditional chief.
Okay.
The police station.
Okay.
Mr. Kwame. I don't know what is a chief inspector or chief superintendent. Maybe I don't want to reduce or increase.
Exactly.
But he will forgive me.
We'll do with the chief.
I would chief, yes. And then Sergeant Smart Mensah.
Okay.
There are some nice police people out there. When you have a case and you go, the way they handle you, you even want to go back there. So I think our service people are doing very well.
Exactly.
We have to encourage that. And then let the people know that going to the police station doesn't mean that you are going to cells or prisons. If you have a case, they feel free and then go and report, and then you have the best of the police in this country. Having said that, gunmen raid village in Northwest around Kaduna is most unfortunate because if it's anything at all, I don't know why. Maybe innocent people are sitting, maybe minding their business, and someone will just get up and start killing. And I think the situation in Nigeria, at times you not hear anything concerning this. I don't know whether this is part of Boko Haram, but this one people are described as gun men. I'm happy they use gunmen because if you have a situation whereby some people go to kill people and then a religious kind of thing is attached to it, like a religion is violent or something, gunmen are criminals. If they kill and they are arrested, they should be treated like criminals, not to be attached to any group of people or anything. But I think we just looked at the headlines. We don't know the details, how they were killed. I don't know whether they've been able to arrest the people. You know this SARS thing in Nigeria, when people were demonstrating that because of the excesses of the that group of people in the police service in Nigeria, people were calling for their disbandment. But you see this kind of case. These are the kind of people that they try to apprehend. But the same people are calling for the disbandment. Look at what is happening. And I think President Buhari, this is second term. And this killing, or this gunmen still killing people in the villages. I saw a video. I was surprised. The way even women were part of a group that can come and lure a friend to go somewhere and the person will be killed. They will even seize your car, take your belongings. And I saw one who was making a confession that that's the friend. She went to work in that woman's house. And then, knowing the territory, she was able to convince the woman that, oh, she's traveling to somewhere, there are some people that can, and I don't know, you know, people, if they have it, they still want more. The woman went with her card, her car, and then they took the car from her and the ATM card, forcing her to give the PIN number. After that, they killed the woman. And the lady kept on going to remove money from them. One day, I said something happened. And then maybe it seems she forgot the PIN and was trying to renew or maybe change the PIN. She was arrested.
Yeah.
The woman who took a fellow woman to this gunmen. They killed her, took her car, her ATM card, and withdrawing money. So I think it's happening in Africa. And then I think, I don't know whether if you have a command army that can man certain places. But I think some time ago, the Nigerians said they were going to even give the police helicopter to be able to fish out all the Boko Haram and gunmen who are disturbing the nation. But I don't know how far. I think it is something that we all have to condemn. No one has the right to take his fellow friend's life, because nobody brought us to this world and nobody should kill us. But I think it's a sad story. It's a sad story. It's a sad story.
All right, thank you so much, Hadia, for your submission. Gabi.
Let me say good morning to our viewers. Good morning to my co-panelists. I think this is just a clear case of armed robbery in within the territories of Kaduna. But it says it's something that is also from the story. It's something that is a phenomenon that is not out of place. It's quite common in that area because a lot of cattle ranchers and all these other nomadic groups that also pass through to take care of their animals and their livelihoods. How do you deal with armed robbery? Like everywhere else, the police should be up to task, should be up and doing. Nigeria police, I mean, should be up and doing in addressing this phenomenon. I think last week we discussed a similar story that had to do with the Islamic militants. And the previous week, no, last 2 weeks, I wasn't here last week. The previous week we had a similar story again, also with Islamic militants. As Hadia said, this is not that of Islamic militants. These are just nomadic people who are engaging in armed robbery. So, for me, it's in the domain of the state security, Kaduna state security, and they've been up to task. If they lack the logistics, the state governor and his team ought to support them. And the Nigerian government as well, because it appears that although this is in Kaduna, we've also read stories of similar cases happening in northeastern part and other areas in Nigeria. So I believe that since President Buhari is an ex-military man, an ex-security quote-unquote general, the issues of state security in Nigeria should have been topmost on its agenda. Prior to him coming into power, the time when Goodluck Jonathan was president, we all saw the state of insecurity in Nigeria. He coming into the helm of office was expected that issues of security, armed robbery, insurgency, terrorism, domestic terrorism should have been on the decline by now, but it appears that is not the case. And this is his second term. So I believe that during his last term, he ought to leave a legacy of a much more peaceful, much more organized, a more secure Nigeria than he met it.
All right, thank you so much, Gabi, for your submission. Now, Saka,
Yeah, thank you very much, Justice. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Hajia and Gabriela. And let me take this opportunity to say good morning to His Excellency the President, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, and Alhaji Bawumia. Justice, I think that we have often sat here and talked about this gunmen when it comes to Nigeria. The topic has always been gunmen attack, gunmen killed, gunmen do this, gunmen, and we seem not to have end in sight when it comes to some of these things.
Yeah.
And one would have expected the Nigerian government to have swiftly dealt with some of these things. But oftentimes, we say it, we talk about it, we express our disquiet, and things continue. I mean, the status quo continue. It's quite unfortunate. I mean, living in such a country, and the authorities, you know, have lukewarm attitude towards ensuring the security of the people. I mean, Nigeria, when the name Nigeria is mentioned, it sends shivers down the spines of everybody because of their sheer population and the resources that they have. But in the midst of all that, we have leadership problem that engulf them. Chinu, what's the name of this, our friend? The one who wrote, we are all Biafrans.
We are all Biafrans.
Yeah. I mean, he says that Nigeria is sleepwalking to disaster. And you can see the disaster occurring. I mean, if you were part of those 19 people who were killed in those two villages around Kaduna, your world has known. I mean, if your parent or your wife or whatever, that was part of it, you will never trust Nigeria again. And this is not the first time. It has happened several times in Zamfara, state and other places within the northwest and the northeast. And there seem to be no end in sight. And I'm ashamed that this is happening. We have given Nigeria or these bandits room to operate as if there is no authority. And it could be as a result of so many reasons. Nigeria has a very complex society. They have ethnicity problem. They have religious problem. A very complex mix of problems within the Nigerian society. And one would have thought that by now, all these problems would have been solved.
Okay.
I mean, even if not even solved, but could have been, dealt with to some extent, as to give confidence or security for the inhabitants. But people give their faith not to, the state, but to God. If you are lucky, the bandit do not come around your area or your state, then you continue to live. But if they come there, there seem not to be any force to repel them. And that is very worrisome. And I think that it is about time the Nigerian government, the people themselves. You see, it's not, sometimes, I mean, when we talk of the government, and if the government is sleeping, and the people do, you see, it's just like the law. I mean, if you can have dormant law, you can have laws that are sleeping. So you need somebody to wake them up. You can have a government that is completely sleeping. And it is the citizens that will have to wake the government up. The citizens who are even part of the government. Because you cannot sit down aloof and allow your people to be maimed, killed, and their properties and livelihood destroyed with reckless abandon, and nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And a sad story is rippled in the whole of Nigeria. It's not only about the Northwest. It's almost everywhere within the Nigerian society. And when we see, and they no longer see it to be news. Because even if it were one person that were killed in Ghana here, it would have been news. And despite the fact that we also have complex society, we are able to coexist and live happily. Why is it so difficult for the Nigerian people to live happily? Because look, I mean, the people in the Kaduna, Zamfara, and the Benin state and other places and all that, why can't they form vigilante groups, you know, to ensure the safety of themselves? Why wouldn't they ensure that, I mean, people who come there, you know, with suspicious characters are dealt with, are apprehended? Why wouldn't they put the fear of God in these bandits? Why is everybody so dormant? Why? So, I mean, sometimes you want to blame the government, but you have to blame the people too. Because if these bandits were arrested and killed and ensure that you decimate them and their existence completely gone, none of them will come again. But they don't fear even the society. They don't fear, you know, the risk of being caught. And they are able to infiltrate into the populace to the extent that some of the populace are part of them in their guerrilla warfare. Mm. And like Gabriela said, you can see that these people, especially those people who did this mayhem in last Saturday, they have no any ideology. They are just people who just decided who allow that a feral instinct of, you know, inflicting pain on people and stealing from them and wrestling their cattle and others. So they are thieves, they are armed robbers, they are killers, I mean, so such people must be dealt with, no matter how long it has to take. I think that, one, if you still allow Boko Haram and the other splintered groups to still be inflicting mayhem, pain and misery on the Nigerian people, it will go in a long way to actually, you know, goad others to also spring up and do the same. So the mother terrorist group, that is Boko Haram, must be dealt with, and dealt with heavily, and their activities must come to an end. Look, Nigeria have all the resources, the richest country in Africa. They have the gold, and indeed they are part of OPEC. And you see, when they say you are an OPEC country, it tells you that you are a very rich person, a country, because it means that you produce 100 million, at least 1 million barrel of oil per day, and 1 million barrel of oil per day, I mean, is money. And with all the resources, apart from oil, they have all the mineral resources that we have in Ghana. Okay. And still, you cannot use these resources to protect the people that inhabit in that region. You allow ethnicity, you allow the place to be, you know, a very comfortable zone for bandits to thrive. That should not happen, and I think that it has to awaken the sensitivities of the Nigerian people to the realization that their continuous existence depends on how strong or how vigilant they are, you know, to safeguard their own people.
All right, thank you so much for your submission. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. We're coming to you from our studios in Ablingby 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. Keep your messages coming in on 026084 6539, 026084 6539. Now let's come back to Ghana and look at what the Ghana Medical Association is advising. They're saying that government should close schools and drinking sports. I'll start with you on this one, Gabriela Tete.
The issue of COVID this year in particular has been a very devastating year for us in our fight against COVID. I'm saying so because looking at the death rates, we're currently hovering around 460 something, 64. As of yesterday. I think it's even gone to 70 something by today. And then if you start from how we ended the year in the 360 region, and today we are in the, there's been over 100 people dying.
Okay, so briefly, this is the case count. 6,707 active cases as of today. 72,328 confirmed cases. 795 new cases. 472 deaths. And 65,149 recoveries stroke discharge.
The death rate is what is most alarming. Currently, we have a little over 100 people, 101 people who are, whose conditions is bad, but 38, I think, are in critical states. I mean, where do you even start with? When you start from the death rate, justice. It's just sad. It's just sad. Currently, we are experiencing the UK variant, which is spreading very, very fast. According to the West Africa Center for Infectious Diseases and Pathogens, they've traced the UK variant. There's a raging community spread of the UK variant. And we all know that that variant is much more aggressive than the original COVID that we got used to last year. People should take the mask wearing protocols very, very seriously. And if possible, we should do the double masking if you're in this surgical mask. Last week, before the end of the week, we had reports that students from Christian girls had contracted COVID.
Akosomo International.
Akosomo International.
Akosomo International, earlier it was 40 students. Yesterday 37, so now it's about 77 students who have been tested.
And they are still testing. So it will be more by close of day today. We are in a very delicate situation. We went a whole year with schools closed. This affected the livelihoods of people in the education sector. And I mean teachers, people who supply to the schools, people who cook for the schools. There's a whole economy that grows around students being in school. And all these people were affected by the closure of the schools. In our attempts to get back to normalcy, it appears that our timing, unfortunately for us, coincided with the entry of this UK variant. We know very well that the testing at the airport, we were told, was one of the best in the world. For that very reason, where we were told that we should just keep quiet and swallow the $150 testing fee. But yet you ask the question, our borders are closed. It's just the airport that is opened. So how did this new UK strain enter this country? It begs the question. We've seen its devastation. At least we are seeing just what it's doing. Government being told or being advised now to close down the schools. Currently, we have 9 million kids in schools. We haven't added the teachers and the other workers providing support services to these schools. We have less than 50,000, and I'm using the word 50,000 because I'm just taking a percentage of 9 million students. We don't even have 50,000 cases of young people. I'm not saying that we should get to that stage before we take a drastic decision as close the schools. We just have a little under 200 students currently who have tested positive. Is that a strong reason to close down the schools? I don't think so. I rather think that we should rather get the younger classes. They can come home so that we get the older above class 5 students to spread out in the facilities so we can promote social distancing in those classes. This contamination is happening because there's congestion. It's also happening because of poor ventilation. But if you take Christian girls,
you advanced an argument about whether or not schools should be closed down because we've not recorded a certain number of cases. We've just recorded over 200 cases and all of that. But the question is, what do we tend to lose as a country if schools are closed down till COVID-19 is quite down?
People's livelihoods are at stake. In my constituency, there was a case where one of the private schools was converted into a poultry farm because the owner had bills to pay. You have loans to service. So it's a whole conversation in itself on the sustainability of schools when the education system is made to shut down. Currently, as it stands, if we rather let the younger classes stay home and spread out the older classes into these facilities, if we enhance the what they call social distancing, if we support with the PPs, I heard yesterday that there are still schools that have not received their PPs. The medical buckets haven't arrived, the mask for students haven't arrived, but the schools are reopened and the students are supposed to be in the classrooms. This logistics should have been provided before school reopened because the government always had the timelines on when schools are going to reopen. Let's get back to the students. If you look at Owusu International, Christian girls, these are all international schools. These are first-class facility schools. So that's the question, how did they also contract this virus so fast? In the case of Owusu International, it's reported that parents to one of the students reported that they went to a party and they contracted the virus. So the child should be tested. And then it turns out the child was tested positive. And then her contact tracing is what has led to all these 70-something students also contracting. But
Gabby, you see, if first-class schools like Owusu International are contracting COVID, what will happen if it gets to some of these third and fourth-class schools?
I especially made reference to this. You know that when you go to these first-class schools, they are sitting in air-conditioned classrooms.
Okay.
Their dormitories are air-conditioned. Unlike the less endowed schools that thankfully have natural air. So the difference between these two is that these sophisticated schools are having kids existing in workspaces and closed workspaces where they are inhaling each other's air.
Though enclosed, but they don't have a lot of students in the class like the less endowed schools where you go to a class and you see about 60 to maybe 50 to 60 students.
But there's natural ventilation, which is blowing the air and circulating the air out. These other schools, it's just like us in this space here. We don't have windows here, but we are breathing air conditioning. That's why we are all in mask here. If, heaven forbid, but if one of us had it and we went in mask, the air conditioning will pick it up and recirculate the air, and others will also get it, even though we are keeping to the social distancing protocol. So there are many ways that this virus can infect somebody. Schools that have these cases, for me, they should have a shift system that will get less people into their space. Open the windows and do away with the air conditions for the time being, because these are exigencies of the times. It's not just the schools that have this problem. We've been told countless times that the virus is spreading in workspaces, also because a lot of our buildings these days have glass windows which you can't open with central air conditioning. So you have people going to work and the environment itself is harboring the virus. Government and the scientists have proposed that workspaces of that nature should inculcate a shift system and should get people to be working from home remotely.
Yeah.
So they limit the people who come into that space. You can fumigate as much as you want, but so long as a contaminated person enters that space and the air condition picks it, everybody stands the risk of it. Now the bars we were told were closed. From late December, when, April last year, before we went for lockdown, the bars and the beaches were never asked to open. The restaurants were told to do takeaway services. And then eventually they did some opening and then, but they were told to maintain protocols. When people are drunk, they lose all sense of judgment, all sense of, in fact, their thinking capacity just drops. So on the bars, any bar that is opened, as far as I'm concerned, is in contravention of the EI that was pushed on the closure of bars and restaurants.
Okay.
And on that score, I think that the enforcement part of that law should be much more aggressively pursued. I know I heard last week, over the weekend, that the Teshi Police Division went on an operation to close down drinking spots. I heard similar thing also happened in Danso. And to the extent that even people who were seen not wearing masks were asked to pay spot fine. I think that we have to introduce some of these schemes across generally. Because you see, all these numbers that you are mentioning, over 50% of this contamination, these case counts, these cases, are in Greater Accra here. So we are the epicenter of COVID. And if we are not taking the protocols and then we don't have the enforcement part also up to task and doing their job, we'll come and sit here and every day we'll still be talking about increasing numbers of COVID. As I land, there's one question that maybe Saka can help us answer. How did the UK strain enter Ghana? Saka, I'm passing the baton to you. He will even call you to the conversation. You answer that question and continue.
Oh, it entered Ghana through the airport. And I remember in one of the updates, the president said that they have detected some of them had, the UK variant, but they have been isolated. Yeah. So can I now continue?
You can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you.
So out of isolation, they still find this way to.
Exactly. How did we still get it?
Our communities.
You see, it is possible we can get it, not necessarily through the airport, but through other routes. We all know we have about 45 different unapproved routes that people use to enter Ghana. You can have somebody from other neighboring country who might have, acquired it.
But the borders are closed.
But people unapproved routes, those routes are there, and that is the reason why some soldiers, military men were deployed to some of them, and people said that it was because of elections and all that.
After elections, do we still have the military men?
Yeah, we still have them.
At those places?
Yeah, we still have them. We still have them manning some of the places. But it's becoming increasingly difficult, to ensure 100% compliance and all that. And especially, as people are, bent on entering this country no matter what. But you see, I think that the Ghana Medical Association advises government to close schools and drinking spots. If it is imminent, if there is inescapable, if there is inescapable need for that, I agree with them. Because life is more important than any other thing. Without life, you cannot school is meaningless. Or even livelihood is meaninless. Your business or whatever is meaninless. First of all, you have to ensure that you are healthy you can go about, your normal duty first and foremost before you talk about any other thing. And to that extent, I agree with them. If the schools are not adhering to some of those protocols, or even if they are even adhering to, and we still have a surge in the numbers, and there seem to be no end in sight in terms of how the spike is going. I mean, the best thing is to close the schools down. I even advocate that we should go for a lockdown once again, because you can't have average of 700 people contracting the disease every day.
Every day, exactly.
It means that eventually it will come to you. It will come to all of us. Because, I mean, 700, and you think that one day you will be part of the 700. So I think that we should break that circle of, circle of, getting the disease. And to break that circle, the only, irresistible conclusion that I can come to is that we should lock down. Because when we lock down...
Yesterday, I was going to buy food after work. When I got to the food vendor, she wasn't in a nose mask. So I asked, where's your nose mask? She said she suffocates anytime she puts on the nose mask. Then I asked, where's your hand sanitizer? She didn't have it. So it tells you that people are just not... I didn't. It tells you that people are just not complying. People are not adhering to the protocol.
And you see, it's also about time that the security people, wake up from their slumber. I turned back to the Kotowaru police. 2 days ago, I understand they were moving around. I mean, instead of arresting DV cars, they were rather moving around, arresting people who are not wearing masks. So you see people all over everybody running helter-skelter looking for masks to buy. And some of us has to be the supplying point, in issuing those masks to people. But I think that is how all others should be doing. Because it's even more important than arresting people with DV and numbers. And just as I was coming here, I stopped at a grocery shop around here where they sell masks. And I said, I want the blue one. They gave it to me. And you could see that this blue mask, they put their own rubbers on it. And those rubbers are not natural rubbers. It's like the pure water rubbers that people buy. And then they just, put this in and then they close them. And I told the lady, why is it not new one? They said, oh, we normally go and buy them in town and then we'll come and put our own rubbers. And I said, that your own rubbers, and that is rubbish. Why would you do that? It means that, look, people are reusing the old mask. They iron it very nicely, and then they put it in rubber for us. So I told her that I will not buy. She gave me the 2. And I told her I will not buy. I had given her money already. That is 20 Ghana, and she was supposed to give me change. She said, because I also handle it, she's not going to take the... So I had to throw, I took my change and I still threw the marks on her. I mean, I'm saying this thing. It's possible.
But let's even assume that the mask is a new one. And then you are putting it in a rubber. If you have COVID-19, automatically you have infected the mask. So
but the point is that somebody had used the mask and threw it somewhere. And there are contractors going around picking those masks. Just like people going around picking
wash it, iron it.
Wash it, iron it very well. Look for pure water rubber. No, is it pure water rubber? Those olden days rubber.
Yeah.
And force it into. And sell it for us. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So the security, apart from ensuring that people wear masks, we should also ensure that people wear the right masks. Or people do not sell the wrong mask. That is very, very important. You see, we are in all these things because, look, I mean, the first COVID, we all here saying that, oh, it wasn't as devastating and all that. Look at this one, this variant. I mean, in the UK, now, I think the WHO have given it a name. It's a B117. Because it's more devastating. And it is 35, between 35 and 45 more devastating than the previous one. And the whole world is running helter-skelter looking for the solution. Because even the vaccines that were, made, that were produced on the basis of the old variant. And this one has overwhelmed everybody. But you see, we cannot do that, some of these conspiracy theories. I don't know why, up to now, China is not hard hit. Because this whole disease emanated from China. Affected only 2 cities. And currently, as we are speaking, China, in terms of the numbers, they are 83rd. 83rd, and Ghana we are 88th. Can you imagine? Only 4,700 people died in China. USA, about 475,000 people died. So what? How did China, manage to escape the dangers of this virus? How did they manage to do that? And you see, and they are in terms of population, they are more than any other country. And the disease emanated from you. How did you manage it? Now, India has overtaken all other countries except the USA. And I think that China must tell us exactly what they know about this disease. If they found the vaccine, they should let us know. In the US, they have found vaccine, and they want to let everybody have it. If China have found the vaccine, they should let us know. They should even let us know all the tricks that can be used, to ensure that people are safe.
But we are told now there's a vaccine, and then the truth is we'll be getting ours by March.
Yeah, I'm told. But even the US, that the vaccine was produced. Even the US, where almost people are. They started with those frontline people. They are still 3,000 people still die every day, even though they had the vaccine. So the vaccine itself is not 100% proof.
The efficacy
it's
of
only
the
90%. You can have the vaccine and still die through vaccine, through coronavirus. The vaccine is not 100%. It's 90%. You are protected only 90%. So vaccine is not the solution to this matter. People talk, where's the vaccine and all those things. And Ghana, let me tell you, if we get this vaccine, the recklessness will even increase.
It will multiply.
People will think that now they are immune from the virus and they can now do whatever that they want. Even look at the danger, the present danger that this virus presents to us. People still do not fear it. Even when they ask them to obey the common protocols, some of the commonest protocols that even if it were not for even virus, the virus, every human being should have been doing it. Like washing of your hands, sanitizing, and all those things. I mean, you don't even need the virus to do some of those things. It should have been part of us, but people don't want to do it. Even, the social distance. Why would I be, so close to Ajia so much when she's not my wife? Why should I be? I mean, those things. So, this virus has come to tell us of the nature of human being, how we should live, how we should have been even living. And people don't want to learn. Even after this COVID, I think that we should learn a lot of lessons from this COVID. That the lessons that it presents to us in each week, is big, and we should continue to do so. But if you are not able to inculcate those lessons, even after COVID is gone, you still live your own ways. Let us save lives. Okay. The president is bent on ensuring that lives are protected. But the person that has the responsibility of ensuring the safety of your own life, it's yourself.
You are communicating for the government. The last address by the president,
the 23rd.
Exactly. I think he said now the testing is going to be free. Am I right?
Yes. The testing. He said that the ECOWAS countries
at the airport is going to be $50.
Yes, they're going to be $50.
But for citizens,
it's going to be free.
It's going to be free.
But people are not well, outside ECOWAS, they will continue to pay the
Don't worry, but for I'm interested in that of the city.
The ECOWAS citizens 50, and then Ghana
schools we are talking about now.